Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic, and we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then do it for your children.
Black book is in black.
Hey,
Black
book.
Men Talk, Black Book. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, our team has reached out to over 500,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you are watching Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real, unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. And we have one of our co-hosts here tonight, Kofi Morris. What's going on, Kofi?
Peace, 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 and blessings, family. I'm here live and direct. You could see us in the red right now. So, we tapping into that energy.
Planned. That wasn't planned.
Okay. See that? Check the joke. See how spirit works? We're tapping into, a conversation that's close to the heart. You know what I mean? So maybe that's part of the reason why that red color is present. I'm feeling good, but I'm just actually wrapping up a little bit of, had to, connect with the family. It's family day weekend, long weekend here in Toronto, Canada, for those that are tuning in. So, for those that got to connect with the family, I hope that you've been enjoying your time, and we still have, of course, tomorrow. So been able to eat some good food and connect with the family. How about yourself? How are things on your end? How's the vibes?
I'm doing fine. As I tell people, as long as I'm above ground, everything else is a bonus. So these days, that's the way I look at it. And always too, I tell people that I'm blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problems. So we all good. 100%. Let me ask Mr. Kofi, since we last were on live, what's a win that you've had?
So I do some work in a space with, as has been mentioned on previous shows, various different men's groups in the city. And with one of the groups, we've been connecting for, I would say, the last maybe 6, maybe 7 years, maybe going on 7 years now. Every Friday we do a check-in, we do a touch point, and this Friday was no different. We had a powerful conversation that led me to, the reminder of how important it is to have healthy spaces for intimate conversations amongst brethren. You know what I'm saying? Things that men are experiencing, going through. So we had a great, powerful call. And just coming off of that, it was a reminder of how important these spaces are. So how about yourself, Dr. Vibes? How about yourself?
Well, I'm just coming in. I feel like I'm Kofi Sadat and Kofi Morris. I'm just landing in the last hour or so to an event. For those people who may or may not know, we have a wonderful Black-owned, Black-led, Black-powered magazine in Canada called BuyBlacks.com. And it's Black Canada's #1 online magazine. And they were celebrating their 13th anniversary today at a Black-owned brewery.
Let's go. Okay. See, and we didn't know this.
Really wonderful. There's about 80 people there. There's some people I haven't seen for a while, then some others, but significant in particular, Roger Dundas, who and his wonderful wife Camille, Power by Blacks.com, and their 2 wonderful kids, Chase and Marley. And Chase and Marley were doing. Marley was selling T-shirts using the swipe card, and Chase was taking photos of people who are award winners of their annual People's Choice Award. So it was really nice, but significantly even for me, Roger Dundas, who I've known a long time, who's my very close friend, and Jonathan Juiceman Shaw, who was DJing, who I've known for over 31 years now. We've known each other, and just being in their presence, the only thing I didn't get a chance to, I wanted to share a moment with them together, saying how important they are to both, how both of them are important to me, but I will do that in a call or arrange a meeting to do that. But it was really nice. And there's some people I haven't seen for a while there. very close friend who's a wonderful business lady who lost her father a few weeks ago, and first time she'd been out in a while. And our families go way, way back. So I was really happy that she was there. I didn't know if she was going to make it out or not, but just celebrating his life and conversation was really meaningful. And a lot of people I hadn't seen for a while, and some new people also ran into Vidal Chavons and Selena Chavons were there. Chef Noel Cunningham, Shirley from Black Canadian Content Creators, whole mass of people I knew and didn't know. Was just a really good event. And a Black-owned space.
Beautiful, powerful. Some of these spaces we're just coming to understanding of how much spaces we have. We're presently habited like across this city. So I'm glad to hear. We should big up those entrepreneurs who put their minds and their resources together to make this happen with the brewery and of course Buy Black. So amazing,
yeah, was a wonderful, wonderful event. I know some people saying, where is Kofi Sadat? He is in transit right now. We hope that he will be with us this evening, but we can find a way of surviving without him. We don't thrive without him, but we survive with him, So that's good. So anything else you want to share before we go to break? We have another epic conversation coming out. Well, two new friends, two people I have not met before, but I'm excited to have conversations with today. Anything else you're wanting to share with our family before we go to break?
One of the things we more recently we had the shows about missing Black boys here in Toronto, Canada, surrounding areas, and I've been seeing the thing I'll also share about maybe a win for community is I've been seeing the gap of time in between some of those missing posts going up and the found post. So I saw at least 2 of those this week that were missing and were now found. So that's good news. Like I'm hearing, it's good to hear that there's some restoration, or at least the process is starting. So some maybe the restoration and healing that's needed for our families that are going through that piece of missing children. So I've been seeing the changes, and as soon as I see that change, I'll post it, to my social media, whatever the case may be, to let people know this child has been found. Because I think we all feel that when we first see that post, but we sometimes don't get the other feeling, which is the child has been found. And even if it's a process, like I said, of restoration, at least we know the child has been found. So I've been seeing some of that this week, which is good to see.
Actually, another thing, I was speaking with Vidal Chavons, and he said, that show you did with Akwatu last week, he was deep. He was in. I said, it's Akwatu.
100%.
That's a
big up Akwatu. Big up Vidal. 100%.
Yeah, he was saying, and so we were having a conversation. I said, because I know him and Paul are very much, or Kofi Sadat, involved in regards to their own fatherhood group. And I said, so are you guys doing anything for fathers? They said, no. And he sort of said, that's a good idea. I said, okay. Well, I said, even if you want to do something virtual or something hybrid for Father's Day, and, we went our separate ways, and then we came back again. He says, I got to follow up with you on that idea. I said, okay. All right. No problem. So I left it in his lap, because I don't think he had a thought process of doing that. And so I left him with an idea.
There we go.
With an idea. So keep a lookout that maybe we will be doing something to celebrate Father's Day.
There we go.
Anything else before we go on break, sir?
I'm looking forward to today's conversation, family. I'd say tune in. If you can, again, share this live with some of your people. Share live with people that you feel can definitely relate to some of the aspects of tonight's conversation around Black love and liberation. Let's go. Okay.
So since we've got everything set up in that end, we are going to go for a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to do some housekeeping. Then we're going to get right in to a wonderful conversation about Black love with our 2 friends. So hold tight. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Watch Black Canada Talking live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe and Cesar Demamusa give their takes and POVs on news stories from a Black Canadian perspective.
Let's watch The Morning Vibe live on Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight discuss important subjects between themselves or have conversations with people who you need to know about.
All right, we are back on Black Men Can Talk with myself, Kofi Sadat. So let's do some housekeeping first. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And if you want to call in, you can do that. Go to your favorite browser, go to callme.road.com on your favorite browser, use the code FSPL8L. It'll take you to another screen, put in your name, make sure you've got everything in green, echo cancellation turned on, etc. And click in join, and you're good to go. All right. Kofi Sadat, I'm going to have you introduce our friends because you have brought them to the platform today. So let's do it. And of course, let's do ladies first, please.
Yeah. So I think the spirit of Kofi Sadat must be in the room because you keep calling me Kofi Sadat.
Oh gosh, Kofi Morris. Sorry, Kofi Morris.
It's all good. It's all good. Absolutely. So the cool thing about the work we do in community sometimes is just the organic way that we might meet and connect with different people. And no different to, the experience that I had bumping into this next guest and actually being in a space where she was actually administering, she was facilitating a session among with families and in an outdoor setting, in a wellness setting. And it was so amazing to be in that space and see what I saw live and direct before actually connecting and meeting and getting to now grow and learn more about the work that Kisha has been doing. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Kisha Elliston.
Hey.
Greetings. Kofi, before you introduce our other friend, I'm just going to go to our comments. So Destiny Savory says, hey. And then she also says, good night. And she says, yes, Destiny in the house. And then Dr. Tachi from Fort Lauderdale is in the house. And then Right Way Home, who is Kofi Sadat. Greetings, family. Yes, in the spirit of Kofi Sadat is here. The spirit is here. All right. Good stuff. Now we can introduce our other friend.
Okay, beautiful. No, I'm actually going to go into a little bit of Kisha's bio, just so that our listeners can get a little bit more information, a little bit more familiar with Kisha before we bring forth our next guest as well. So Kisha's passion is to help those in need and assist in any way she can. She shows in her efforts when her clients feel the support, empathy that they deserve and need to reach their highest successful self and goals. Kisha holds a master's in social work alongside an undergraduate degree in honors sociology and a diploma in legal administration, with over 14 years of counseling experience, including strong knowledge in working with youth, individuals, couples, families, and in group settings. Kisha is also a strong voice within the community and the greater GTA, being asked to participate as a panelist, speaker, sharing knowledge in many mental health and wellness engagements. She's available, of course, for speaking panelist workshops, facilitating, covering topics from anti-Black racism, diversity, equity, inclusion, youth engagement, mental wellness, and more. So welcome, Kisha, to the Black Men Can Talk, our first formal sister from community as a facilitator in tonight's conversation. So it's amazing to have you.
Thank you, guys. I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed to be here. Thank you.
100%. And we're also going to introduce, I might go to Dr. Vibe just to balance out things. Dr. Vibe, if you don't mind. Yes, sir. If you don't mind reading
I've got
Coach Ron's bio. And I can give some background. I
want you to do it because I don't have it access. I was expecting you to do it because you brought these people to the table. I want to make sure he gets proper representation.
No stress, no stress. So Coach Ron, man, Ronald Evans, our brother, we actually met in a similar space, in a platform that I co-created, in regards to love and relationships. And it was actually a summit that we did. It was a 3-day relationship summit that we produced during COVID. So it was online. And Coach Ron, I connected with him via another group doing similar coaching work. And we just hit it off. We just connected. You're going to hear a little accent in our brother's speech tonight as he talks. So you guys can maybe guess where he's from. But we had an amazing conversation, which led to us co-facilitating and him coming on as a relationship coach. So Coach Ron is also actually a minister and husband, loving father, committed to community and the work that he does and continues to bring. I say he brings a particular view and angle and a uniqueness to his approach in the work that he does in this coaching space. So I want to definitely welcome Coach Ron, also known as Ronald Evans. Come on through, brother. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, guys. What a beautiful introduction there, Brother Kofi. Dr. Vibe, good to meet you.
Well, I didn't want to do it. I couldn't do it that well. So I know where I'm not when I'm not equipped, so I hand it off.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, Brother Kofi, do you want to start the conversation or do you want me?
So just to balance the voices, I'm going to throw it back to Dr. Vibe to spark it off.
Okay. All right. So for both of you, when you hear the term Black love and Black liberation, what does that bring up to you?
Well, I'll let our sister go first, ladies first.
Oh, thank you so much. I first of all, may I just add, I love the title, Black Love and Liberation. Let me start by saying this very simply. Liberation is a powerful word. And when we bring that word into any room, it's for us to remember that we are liberated people. That's first and foremost. And a lot of us who maybe don't feel that way, or maybe a lot of us have forgotten from our past, we need to remind ourselves that we are liberated people, that we are resilient people, and that we have a lot to keep going forward, even when society or the world tells us differently. So Black love and Black liberation, more so, we are liberated and chains free from actually the Eurocentric way of how they're teaching us or try to teach us of how love should be. We're liberated from the standards of North American and Eurocentric worldviews on how love should be. We're liberated because we can go back to our African history and the context of how we truly love and what love looks like in communities, family, and healing. And it doesn't have to look or represent what we see on TV or what we're taught when we're in our societies of New Else. So when we are liberated, it means to say we can be free in how we choose to love one another. And it's okay for it to not look like any other race or ethnicity or background, right? And that's liberation. Because a lot of us have been told, and a lot of us, as we're going to get into a big discussion, have been told for many years that the way we do things is either we're animalistic, barbaric, we're secondhand humans, right? Oh, what do they mean? They're jumping the broom. What is that? Jumping a broom? What? That's the most powerful thing you could have at a wedding in 2026, right? That's being liberated. But no one is not going to understand what that liberation means, right? That's just an example. We get to do that, and we get to determine what Black love means for us. So that is a sense of freedom. Liberation is a sense of freedom. It's also a sense of entitlement. Entitlement saying that we deserve love, we deserve healing in our families, in our community, and we deserve to have the type of Black love that was taught to us from our home countries. And I think that in and of itself, as we define it as a culture and as we define it for ourselves, is what's going to bring us the freedom and the love that we all deserve. And that's what kind of comes to me and stands out.
Ron, you sure you wanted her to go first? That's going to be a hard act to follow,
Man,
right?
she just She just took it all the way. So I don't know if I want to come behind of that. I'm in agreement with a lot of it too. So
oh, great! I'm glad you. Okay, good.
It's very, very good delivery there of that. How you see it as Black love and liberation. For me, it means, and I'm not going to be long-winded per se. I like to get to the meat of it, but Black love and liberation means we are no longer just surviving together. We're actually healing together. More like loving in a way that frees us emotionally, spiritually, and generationally. Right, and that's the key of liberation. It has to be able to pass on to the generations in the sense of we're being free, but free in love, Black love especially. Love is as healing and not just romance, right? And the healing aspect of it in our community, especially the Black community, is very, very heavy because we carry trauma from generation to generations. And when we come together with so much trauma, right, we're not in a mode of thriving, we're just in a mode of surviving, right? And so liberation is from survival, from trauma, and from the emotional armor that we keep, especially as Black men. As we can talk about Black men, we don't get to we don't express ourselves in the emotional manner that I think we should, because if we understand how much stress does to us as an individual, it actually deteriorates us from the inside out and not from the outside in. So if we look at that standpoint, relationships, as well as becoming spaces where we can finally breathe and have a way of how we can be seen, and not just in a way of being an attack. So that's where I stand. So
okay. Thank you. Kofi?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. My goodness. So I urge listeners, I said it tonight to some of my family too. I said, get a pen and a pad for tonight's conversation, because there's some things that are going to come out that you might want to document so that you can come back to later. There might be questions you want to connect with some of our guests on tonight to see if you can work with them, or whatever the case may be, in terms of some of what they shared and some of what has come up from tonight. And I'm taking vigorous notes, so you might see with my head down at times, just from today's conversation already. This is just the introduction. This is such a topic, right, that's near and dear to so many of our hearts, and with it being on, of course, the hind leg of what in the West is Valentine's Day. In some cases, you'll hear Black Love Day, you'll hear Black Love Week, you'll hear Akoma Day. These are things that you can look up in Google if you're also not familiar. AKOMA, which is an Adinkra West African symbol. All of these things, that energy is in the air, right? And I think, the cool and amazing thing about us as people of African descent is we walk with this every day. We don't wait for a day to celebrate our love. We celebrate it in our own spaces in so many different ways. We celebrate it by turning on a certain song, as we're driving to work, and just vibing and connecting. That's a way we actually express and connect to love, sometimes love of self. We do this as a way to sometimes heal aspects of ourselves. You want to put yourself in a certain mindset. You're listening to a certain type of music, but you're also connecting and connecting on a vibration and a rhythm level to a space that brings love to yourself. So this is not something far and distant from us. This is something we experience every day. Sometimes we just forget what that looks like, right? So I just want to say one thing before we actually get more into things, is for listeners to just take a moment in this moment, as you're getting into tonight's conversation, right? I want to set an intention for the conversation. I want to set an intention that we walk away feeling more full than we did when we came. I want to set an intention that the things that maybe we're trying to come to terms with and understand about these two words together, Black love, that we'll walk away from the conversation having more meat and substance to what that means and what that looks like. I want to set an intention that us as men and as women have an opportunity to come together, that we grow and we're learning from tonight's conversation. And people are going to listen to this maybe even years from now and get something from it, for this connection that we're we're exploring with both Black men and Black women. So I'm looking at this as a divine opportunity. And in the midst of it, I'll add one thing to say: what if you can hold a space, and we can collectively hold a space in seeing us as Black men and as Black women, moving from a place of that unity, that connection, that trust, that ancestral legacy connection, that generational spiritual healing that's needed? What would that look like? What would that look like if we were? So envision that now in your mind, just for a moment, and just hold that intention as we're going into tonight's show as a powerful representation of what we're able to do collectively together.
Kofi, do you want to put a conversation piece, or I can put one out there?
Sure.
Okay.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So as we move forward, just one of the things that I wanted to put out there is, what are you noticing, both Coach Ron and Kisha, what are you noticing about the current state of relationships in our community? Some themes, some things you've been noticing.
Well, I love that you said that. What I'm noticing about the current state of and I'm going to go, yes, in our community, but more importantly, for some reason, this generation. So just some context, I have been working with couples for about 14 years, going on 15 years. So majority of my 7-day week is just with couples, couple after couple after couple. So I spend all my days, all my years with couple, which I'm grateful and blessed to be in vulnerable spaces with so many people. What I've noticed more per se to the generation, and they've this understanding that people are thinking that it's okay and acceptable, is a lot of this ghosting and canceling. It's okay to cancel on the relationship. It's okay to, ghost people. It's okay to leave people hurt. We don't need to give an explanation. We can just go on about it. They'll get over it. I don't need to give them or owe them anything. There's a lot of, I don't owe anybody or anyone in any particular way. And I'm talking about relationships, romanticized and not, right? For some reason, we've gotten to a place as a society where canceling, ghosting doesn't seem to matter. And people say it's acceptable. And what I've been preaching, and I keep trying to tell all of my couples and people, is that this is not a place to be at when you're involved with somebody. So the first thing I tell people, and I want everyone to know that here's my voice, is when we decide to enter into a relationship, I tell everybody, the first thing you must remember is that you made a decision. You made a decision. When you were born, and I tell everybody, when you come into this world, you come as yourself. You come as individual. You don't come with anybody else. You're not paired up. You're not booed up with anybody else. You are entering life by yourself. When you meet your boyfriend, when you meet your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you have decided to step into a garden, choose a flower, and say, I am responsible for this flower. I have decided to take this flower out of the millions of flowers, take it home with me, garden it, put sunlight on it, love it, cherish it, and let it blossom and grow. I need people to understand that's the decision we make. So when I decide to marry my husband, I decide to take that flower and I decide I'm going to pour into this flower. And when he decided to get down on one knee, for example, or anybody else, when you make a decision, that's a choice. You have to hear what I'm saying. It's a choice. You're saying, I'm going out of all these flowers here. I'm getting down on one knee and I'm choosing to pour into this flower and to let it grow and to blossom. Okay. Once we decide, and I don't know what the current state that we're seeing is that people are allowing these flowers to die. And we have to ask ourselves, why? How do we get to a place? A lot of people don't believe in marriage. A lot of people know that the marriage rate has gone down by 48%. It's gone away. And I'm not here to tell people whether to get married or not. I'm talking simply, as Kofi said, relationships. If you make a decision to say yes to somebody, yes, which means I'm deciding to spend time with you. I'm deciding to learn about you. I'm deciding to grow with you, I'm deciding to heal with you, you really have to ask yourself, what is your yes to the person that you're saying yes to? And I tell my brothers or people that are going the opposite is that when you make a decision, are you also prepared to take what's with it?
Mm. Mm.
These are things. So the current state is, why are we allowing ourselves, everybody, to get into things? I'm not saying things don't work out. Of course they don't work out. I've had past relationships that don't work out. But the question you have to ask yourself is, are we taking it serious to our yes? And that's the main thing I want to ask Ari, because I feel like this state and how the state of relationships are, I don't think we're taking our yeses when we say to a girl, I'd like to take you out, or a guy, you know, whatever, and vice versa, I'm saying yes. And we need to really think about our yeses when we decide to enter into a relationship.
Powerful, 100%. We could just drop the mic, Kisha. You could just drop the mic for a moment, just for a moment, because take in, you know, many aspects of what you shared, starting from the ghosting piece and the cancel culture, and the impact of what's been happening around us, and the impact that the external society has on our relationships. You started out, even in our conversation tonight, in terms of how we balance Eurocentric views versus our views, right? And how we came up. There's certain aspects that we've moved away from. So how we get back is the key. And you spoke about growing, loving, healing. I love the analogy about the flower. I'm actually going to stop you and say, start that again, remix, bring it back, rewind DJ, so we can bring that back. Because beautiful, such a beautiful analogy. You know, you take your time to choose this flower, and you're supposed to pour into this flower. You're supposed to nurture this flower. Why aren't we nurturing the flower? What's challenging our ability to do so? Coach Ron.
Yeah, so she said it so elegantly, and that analogy of the flowers is very powerful. But I also want to add a little more on that. Is even before the flower is blossomed, there's a seed, and the seed needs to be, you know, nurtured. It needs to be watered. It needs to be given light, right, in order for it to actually start to grow. And when we look at relationships in the state that it's in, people want the fast growing weeds, and not so much the, you know, like the bamboo. It takes how many years before it bursts out the ground, right? Roughly about 5 years before it actually comes out. Well, look at the farmer. The farmer plants a seed. He's not going to reap his crop the next day or the next week or the next, right? It takes time. You have to nurture it. You have to continue to, you know, fertilize. And it's relationships. People don't spend the time to do that, right? People just want a instant gratification, if you may call it, of a relationship to always be on a what we say is the honeymoon stage. They always want to be on that, but we're gonna have bumps in the road and ups and downs, and people don't want to take accountability for their actions. And just like Sister said, people make decisions, but you're making the decision to be in a relationship. You have to decide that you're going to be in this relationship for a long time, through the thick and thin. And we're not here to tell you get married or what, you know, what the case may be. But if you're cultivating a relationship, right, you have to say that this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. How are we going to grow there? Because if you both are not growing together, one is going to leave the other one, and then you're going to have an unstableness of it. So I think that the where we are is a lot of accountability is not being held highly. A lot of accountability are left on the side. And if we're bringing things towards, if we're in a relationship and you're bringing up something towards another individual that we're with, then the person should be self-aware enough, emotionally have that emotional understanding that, hey, maybe I need to take that into consideration and listen and see where I need to change. Because a lot of times we look at to point the fingers, and I always say, when you point one finger, there's three pointing back at you. So what are you doing in this situation? right? It's because it takes two, as my wife says, it takes two to tango, right? So, I just drop this in here is, my wife and I, we work with couples, singles, and even some marriage couples to actually cultivate more of a relationship that is centered around God. In the state of it has to have a foundation. Your house cannot be built structurally sound if it doesn't have a strong foundation. It might look messy at the bottom, but it builds up something that's much beautiful. So that's the state I look at it as a relationship. We're not holding each other accountable, and we're not making decisions that are actually growth decisions. We're actually making decisions that are only a short stench and an instant gratification type of way.
So true, brother. And it ties right back into what was shared earlier in terms of this generation and the opportunity that we have. You spoke about accountability for our actions and accountability between each other, right? How are we going to grow? Back to the analogy of the plant. Before coming on tonight's call, I was in a conversation earlier with someone with regards to aspects of how I was raised and the connection to the Caribbean and different things that would be done in the Caribbean. So coming from, my parents coming from Trinidad, there's certain elements and aspects to our culture that speak specifically to the land, right? And if you're having, you're going for Christmas, usually we go down for holidays, right? You go back home. If you don't have that snowbird option, right? You go back home and you're having different experiences. Usually, the hunters in the family will go and hunt, and they'll bring back some kind of wild game, right? This is talking specifically from my experience as a Trinidadian. And they'll actually ask, what do you want, type of thing, and people will choose. And it has become a ceremonial thing. Where does that come from? That comes from the continent. That comes from our deep roots, right? In Africa, when the same type of thing would happen, you would send the hunters out to catch whatever wild game, and you'd have guests and you would present to those guests. Well, we're still doing that today, right? So there's things about our culture that we've held on to, and there's some things that we've lost. And I think this piece around growing, tying it back to being farmers, tying it back to being people of the earth, these kind of analogies will make sense to us and understand that how do we grow is a great question that you put out there. How do we grow? And how do we make things like self-awareness become prerequisites for relationships? Because would you want to partner with somebody that didn't necessarily have self-awareness as something important to them? Because what happens if they're not self-aware? How are they going to be aware of you? You're a whole nother person. You're a whole nother plant that they're helping to grow and cultivate, right? But do we have that as part of a prerequisite for our relationships? Self-awareness is mindfulness. So I'm just throwing out some questions that are relative to what we're talking about. But you said something also about growth decisions. Like, we need to make growth decisions. I'll throw a quick thing out there. If you were to put on any Netflix series that's on right now, or any mainstream television series with regards to Black culture right now, is that what you would see? Would you see people making decisions in even these shows and with these movies, these popular culture, that they have these things as benchmarks for their decisions? Or are we seeing what you guys are talking about, the current state of the culture on grown people conversations and behavior, but they're going on this kind of immature ways of being? We're seeing that perpetuated on all these different streams, right? So what influence does that have on us as well, and on younger couples?
I could go and speak on it. It's an influence to our younger generation and just generation itself, because we're tuning into an entertainment aspect. Most of these people are actually on TV or on mainstream or whatever you want to say, or even YouTube channels that have different shows. This is like a standard of how they're looking at how the relationship is, and it's not portrayed properly. And that's what's hurting us, especially as Black people, right? Because we love entertainment, we love to look good, we love to listen to the music, all the cultural aspect of us as a Black people. we look up to a lot of these people who portray themselves on these different mainstream or platforms and look at their relationship advice, but it's very toxic. That's right. It's not healthy, right? So it's causing those who are watching are picking it up. And I listened to someone say this. A male told another female, he said, there are good women out there, but they're hanging with the wrong women. And it's influenced the good women into becoming the woman that they are not, not wanting to carry themselves as. And now they are falling into that trap. And the same thing for men. You're following certain things that are not the standard that you should have, and we should have for ourselves, right? It's not even, we look at relationships as we have a relationship with someone. What's a relationship with yourself? That's the relationship. Who are you as an identity aspect, right? Your identity cannot be withheld or held as towards something materialistic. Who are you inside? Because when you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who you are.
That's right.
And that's actually a perfect segue to exactly what Coach Ron is saying about the world will tell you who you are. And I want you guys to really pay attention. Anyone that's listening to this tonight, I want you to pay attention and ask yourself, when you were young, and I'm talking to me, what shows are you watching for Black influence? Was it Martin, where you saw an amazing love between Martin and Gina, who Martin did everything for Gina and Gina did everything for Martin, and they laughed? And was it almost like they were best friends? I want you guys to think about the relationship. When we watched Martin, it was comedy, it was fun, but they were together and he was loving her and she was loving him. And we got to see comedy and best friends that were also in a relationship. Yeah. Let's talk about Uncle Phil and Vivian. Uncle Phil and Vivian from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Did we not get to watch Uncle Phil as a main Black role model, a judge, taking care of his family? Right? Loving on his wife. No cheating, no this, no that, no drama, no one showing up at the door saying they have Uncle Phil's baby. Nothing. Right? I'm like, let's see. And we're not here to discuss, by the way, Bill Cosby. We're not here to discuss who's right, what. Let's just talk about the show. Let's go into that. How many Black men and how many Black women said, man, that show taught me how fathers should be. That show raised me. How many people say that all the time? That show raised me. Right. Look at the relationship. My husband always tells me, I wish you'd be more like Claire Huxtable. That's his number one line to me all the time. Okay. You need to watch more Claire Huxtable episodes. He tells me all the time. Okay. Okay. Claire Huxtable, Bill Cosby, they exemplified Black excellence. How to raise your children, how to discipline your children in a Black household, how to still love your children when they're making inappropriate or indecisive decisions along their life journeys. Now, when I tell you these are just examples, I'm just throwing out things that I used to watch, right? I now want you to think about the last 5 years, 2020, 6 years to 2026. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Hip hop, R&B, right? Let's go into all these dramatic things, and we're watching our Black women, our Black men fighting. I'm not here to say people can watch what you want. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I want you to see, as Coach Ron said, if we don't know who we are, society's going to tell us. They're going to tell you guys are part of the hip hop culture. They're going to tell us who you are. They're not going to tell you that we come from respectable, amazing households. And by the way, just to add in, when these shows try and promote that there's fatherless households or single mothers raising the Black men in the last 10 years have risen to be the number one fathers in households currently. So all the things that society tries to twist and tries to make it seem, right? And this is all coupled up, may I add, with the trauma that they show on TV, because Kofi's question is the influence on TV. So they want us to see George Floyd, right? That was an 8-minute horror film that we all got to watch. So then what does it do? Everyone goes back and we reprint it. Everyone talks about it and we sleep on it. And, oh my gosh, what happened? We love to talk about this because it's leaving imprints. It's leaving seeds, as Coach Ron, it's leaving seeds. Think about the influence that the media, that the social media is wanting Black love and how they want Black love to be representative. And then I want you to think back to the 80s and 90s when you could turn on certain shows and actually see Black love and its excellence.
Yeah.
Huge. 100% huge.
Huge
And
difference.
100%. And I did a quick.
I don't know. Can any of you guys tell me a nice show that's on right now with two black? Any? I don't know. Can you? I don't know. Can you? Can anybody tell me?
The Upshaws is probably as close as it gets. And the Upshaws essentially, someone even described it to me today. I've watched a couple episodes, but nothing to say it these things can't compare to some of the shows of our past, right? In terms of content, relationship, character development, all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of that ghetto behavior because you're taking a mainstream comic who's known for whatever he's known for. No judgment, I love our comics and I love the importance of comedic relief in our community and laughing at the stuff that's just our regular day-to-day stuff. Don't get it twisted. But when you take that comedian and you place him in a sitcom, that persona that he is on stage is still going to be perpetuated in his character in the show. And is that going to be a healthy whatever, right? It's still going to be the standard for his fatherhood or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I've seen some dope episodes where they challenge a lot of ideas and stuff, but generally the character of the person, they're going to perpetuate some of the same stereotypical behavior because that's his character as he's on the stage. I did a quick search about this Pop the Balloon show. That's one of the other things that have been very prevalent, right? Check this out. The show and game, for those that don't know, this Pop the Balloon or Find Love show, right? Where they feature singles holding balloons. They decide whether to engage in a relationship with the person or not by popping the balloon, right? To indicate their disinterest. This show gained significant popularity on YouTube, amassing over 100 million views. And was later adapted into a version on Netflix April 2025. So if people ask the question, what influence, do these things really have influence? You got 100 million people viewing these things. That is in alignment with what you just talked about, Kisha, versus a Cosby or a Different World or a Martin or whatever the case, which depicts at least some balanced views. Because that's the amazing thing that I always say about our past, right? Being an 80s baby. And I'll shift back to you guys after this point. But the reality of having different forms of music on the radio, where you can hear a love tune, but you can also hear what was called a bashment kind of tune, a party tune. You can hear some deep, whatever it was, Phil Collins or whatever. Even the genres went beyond some of what we knew about love music, but also hear some gangster rap. You had balance. Now you have consistently one side of the equation. You have consistently trap music. You have consistently aspects of our culture relative to, we're talking about film, that depict us negatively without having the balance. And what are people going to do? They're going to go, bad news sells, folks. Let's just be real. Bad news in media makes more money than the police rescuing the cat out the tree. That's just a reality. So our culture sometimes will utilize whatever's popping, whatever is monetary, whatever brings the most amount of money in a short period of time, going back to survival mode to advance us. But we don't realize sometimes that sets us back years.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Just what you're saying. I wanted to, again, Coach Ron said something amazing. And this is a powerful thing Coach Ron said, which is about instant gratification. We are living in society that thrives on instant gratification. Now watch this. I don't download it, but I do love Pop the Balloon. I think it's a hilarious show. I love it. But watch what's interesting. But watch this. What's interesting you say that, because it is teaching people that this is how fast you can connect and find a man or what. It's instant gratification. Pop the Balloon. But now watch this. Watch it. Those that watch Pop the Balloon, watch what they do. How interesting this is, right? You're finding someone, you're choosing someone, but you're also luring out and exceedingly throwing insults at the other person. You should hear the insults, putting down Black men and putting down Black women. So 100 million people get to see if there's 8 Black girls lined up and a Black guy comes down and he goes, yo, pop this. Oh, just because, you look like this, you look like that. Yo, your skin's dry. Oh, your foot. It's all cut up. And I'm watching them yo, so this is what we're showing everybody, that we just cut up our brothers and sisters. And it's like that. A Black man comes on, all that goes, oh, but honestly, you need to lose some weight. And so I sit and I watch a show. Yeah, it's funny, it's jokes, whatever. But what you're teaching the world, to be honest, in Pop the Balloon, is that you're watching a bunch of Black people insult each other back and forth.
That's right.
And there's major insults. These aren't bad. Oh, I don't like your teeth. Honestly, your clothes are whack. Yeah. And then sometimes it gets really ugly. The other person will go back if they feel hurt. And then they're trying to act cool. And it's just, it turns into this very disturbing, which is what it really is. It seems like it's comedy, but when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is just our Black brothers and Black sisters getting video and filmed in front of the world as we hurl insults. Physical insults, things that probably will last them when they come off the show and they go into their car and they rewatch the show, and then they go home and they cry because now 100 million people saw this guy tear her up and talk about her body, and the guy goes home and feels less of a man because she's like, you ain't no man, you ain't no this, and then he causes the pain. This is what happens, and then we're all just laughing, kicking. But do you think the other cultures are seeing it that way? I want you to think about that. You think the Europeans, you think the Portuguese, the Greek, all the other cultures, the South Asian, you think they're kicking, cacking, watching all these Black people hurl insults back and forth? How do we look? I want you to think about this. And I really challenge anyone listening to my voice. Again, I'm never going to sit there and say I haven't watched that Pop the Balloon. I do think it's funny. I think some of it's nice. And I love it when, two Black people meet and it actually carries on. But when it gets ugly, it's very disturbing. And if that's the shows we're putting on versus Claire Huxtable and Bill Huxtable, a doctor and a lawyer, we got to really think about that. Instant gratification.
Yeah. Well said. I mean, it's just opening a door for us to continue a trauma cycle. We're going to continuously live in that space because we're not changing the narrative. But as we look at it, everybody's trying to get a platform or trying to get on so they can make some money. And that's what it all goes back to, how much they can gain in their pockets more than what you're doing to the other person or to yourself or the next generation. That's the people that are watching it and thinking that is the normal. No, it's not normal. There's no way that's normal, right? And then you have kids, and then you want to know why your child is being treated a certain way, whether it's a male or female. Well, you are portraying that because you're going to end up doing that as well. And so it just continues in this cycle that if we don't break it, we're detrimental of our own self and our own society and our own communities.
100%. I'll just quickly go to the chat, Dr. Vibe. Is there anything you want to share before I go to the next question?
Well, there are a few things I wanted to share, but I'll just get into the comments here. So there's a comment here from Black Nerd Talks saying Hollywood cinema, rom-coms / Disney, and social media has trivialized marriage. Have a comment here. Some women don't hang with other women. I'm working on me at all times. Yes, I watch these shows. Also, Dr. Tachi says, yes, Pop the Balloon is despicable. Before I'll let you back because Kofi is really focused on this. I'll stay in the background. Black trauma is $1 billion industry.
Whew.
So I'll just leave it that. There was something I wanted to ask.
Just drop the mic and leave it. Yeah, just drop the mic.
I'll just leave it there. Obviously, Kofi wants to ask more questions. I had a few, but hopefully we'll have you back for a part 2. But go ahead, Kofi.
There's a couple quick things I want to touch on before we, because I know we're going to go slightly over time. even if that means 5-10 minutes, I will defer to our guests, but I want to ensure that we do get to speak on the other side of the equation, which is the healing and emotional awareness. It's said that many people want relationships, but are still, carrying emotional wounds. How do we begin, healing while in relationships?
So I'm gonna just take this. Coach Ron, did you want to go first? Go first.
Okay, so I'll go first.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How do we address healing while in a relationship? Well, I think that one of the main things when we're in a relationship is the other person that is pointing that out to that individual, right? The person that's receiving has to have a way of Are they listening to understand, or are they listening to respond? If
Mm.
they're not listening to understand what it is that they're trying to address to the situation, because they're doing it in a loving way, right? If they care about you, they're not bashing you, they're actually coming and really honestly trying to get to that point where we need to address what is happening. And if we are open to receiving that, then he place. But if we're not, it's going to be an argument. It's going to be a fuss back and forth. We're not going to have an open dialogue, right? So I think when it starts, where it starts is actually really addressing yourself. If you are in a relationship, if you're a person that wants to grow, because a lot of people don't want to grow. People who are 50 are still playing like they're 20, right? They're still repeating the same thing. So if you're an individual that looks at yourself and sit back and say, wait, am I really having any kind of positive growth in my life? Or am I continuing to repeat the same cycle? Right? So I'll go from a standpoint for myself. I've been through relationships that didn't work out. I've been through a divorce that didn't work out. And because my mind is more of, I love family and I love relationship and I love people. I had to ask myself, instead of pointing the finger and saying, well, why did this person did this person did that? And asking God, right, from my standpoint is, well, why does it happen to me? I started saying, well, what is it that I'm supposed to learn out of this? What am I supposed to change from my standpoint that can make a difference in the next relationship, or even the relationships that are around me that I'm in right now? Because when you start to address yourself, that means there is growth that's going to take place. And that's where relationships can actually thrive a little more. But if we're not aware and being self-aware inside of that relationship, if we don't be aware of ourselves, we're going to have an issue all the time. This is where toxicity just continues to fester and grow, because we're not addressing us, not even the relationship, but ourselves. So we need to look within us. I talk about identity and I help people with identity who are trying to figure out where they want to go next. But where you are now, what are you doing? You say you want to go here, but what are you going to do to go to that point, right? So are we addressing ourselves instead of addressing other people? That's where it happens. And I think that we have to really point out, you have to be more aware of yourself and your behavior towards other people, or towards even yourself, because a lot of us have that self, what we tell ourselves continuously. We self-sabotage ourselves. We reduce our own self-worth by the way we think. How are we thinking about things? How are we seeing ourselves? Because if we don't see ourselves in a certain way, we're going to continue to sabotage ourselves in conversations, in situations, in relationships, or friendships, or family ties. So everything has to come back to us being centered. And I love journaling, because you get to dump your brain and get to dump your emotions on paper and then read it, look at it, and identify, well, why am I behaving this way, or why am I thinking this way? What is causing that? You have to question it. I'm an educator as well. So I like to challenge my students. When you're trying to solve a problem, you have to ask the question, why? When you come up with the first one, why is this happening? Okay. Then you ask another question, why? The 5 why aspects are going to get to the root cause. It might be more wise, or it might be less wise. How fast you get to that problem, if you have a deeper thinking. But if you're not asking, you're not challenging your questions, you're not challenging your thought process, you're going to have a continuous cycle of issues.
100%. So many pieces to unpack there. I'm gonna go over to Kisha.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so Coach Ron very much said what I was going to say, but I want to really highlight one thing, and this is what I'm going to highlight, okay? Kofi, I want you to read the question again, and then I'm going to ask a question. Read the question that you are asking.
Okay. So many people want healthy relationships, but are still carrying emotional wounds. So how do we begin healing while in relationship?
Okay. Let me ask a question to those that are listening. Who is the number one person that we will talk to the most on earth? Who's the number one person you're going to talk to the most in your life? Who is it? Dr. Vibe? Who is it, Dr. Vibe? Who's the number one person you're going to talk to the most in your life until you die?
I'll let Kofi answer. I know I ain't gonna.
What? Yes.
She's about to go to you. She's going to you.
He's like, I don't. It's a trick. He's like, it's a therapist question. No. Kofi, who's the number one person? Who's the number one person you will talk to the most in this life until?
Hopefully, is yourself.
Yeah. It's yourself. That's the answer.
So can
I want you guys?
Can I politely just go? So this is where the word intimacy means into me. See.
Yes.
I'll
step back out.
Yes.
No. So Coach Ron, Dr. Vibe, and we all saying the same thing, right? We're all saying the same. That's why I said Coach Ron is right in the mud. I always tell couples when they first start with me and they're like, oh my gosh, we're so glad we got you. And I'm like, oh, no problem. And I'm like, you're here for couples counseling. But I said, but you know that in order to do couples counseling, I said, you know that I'm here to work on you guys individually. And they look at me and like, huh, what do you mean? And then I have to break it down. I'm like, you guys are pouring into each other. But what we're fixing is what you're bringing up to the table. When I am coming into a relationship with my baggage of lived experiences, my understanding of life, the way I grew up, my childhood, my experiences, and when my husband is my husband's from Brooklyn, New York, by the way. So you take a guy that grew up in Brooklyn, New York, you take a girl that grew up in Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada, okay? Those are two very different experiences in life. So if you think we're going to jump on board and Laha, it's a wonderful day. No, we have to take what we're carrying and what we've learned. He learned as a man on his journey and understanding, yo, Kisha, I don't know what fairy tale life you lived in. He's like, I'm from this is Brooklyn. He's like, no, he's like, I'm going to sit where I see it. When we sit in a restaurant, I make sure I can see all the exit doors. And I'm like, really? I've never thought of that before in my life. Like, it's just two different, like, you know what I mean? Two different shifts, right? So you have to understand that's what people are doing when they step into my office or they step in a relationship. They are bringing the weight. They are bringing their lived experiences. They are bringing what they know, what they understand is true to their reality into your world. And then they're intermixing it. Yes. So the problem is that you can only intermix if you know what you're bringing. And if you understand the pain, the healing, the trauma, everything that you're bringing, right? And the other person can say, wow, I'm bringing this. I understand. Wow, I didn't realize, right? You have to look at yourself. You have to look at yourself. It is virtually impossible to pour into other people and not have a self-reflection of yourself. And that's why Coach Ron was exactly right when he says, the answer to the question is, in order to heal in your relationship, you have to have the mindset. You have to have the mindset of 1, empathy. 2, compassion. And 3, you have to have grace. Why do I say that? Because when my husband comes into the room and he's telling me something I don't understand, I have to have empathy. Okay, I never thought about that because I never lived like that. When he says, what is going on with you, Kisha? Why are you acting like that? He has to have compassion. Oh, okay, well, that's because she lived in a house like this. And that's because her history is like, oh, now I know why Kisha thinks like that. Because A, B, C, D, and E brought her to this point as a woman now. And so now I understand. And then we both have to have grace for one another. Okay, I don't really like what Kisha does, but I'm going to give her grace as she navigates and works on herself, right? To get healed in this relationship. And I give my husband grace. Okay, I understand. Now that I know his now I know how he thinks. I'm going to give him grace. I'm going to be compassionate and empathetic. That's how you start your healing in relationships. I want people to understand that, but it has to start with you. It has to start with you. Excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, family. So we're over the hour. I said this is going to happen. I'm going to kick it to Dr. Vibe before I even kick it to the guest to be like, Dr. Vibe, you got time? Are you good? I'm mindful.
You usually leave at the top of the hour. I make the time, so it's you more than me. You're like Batman, gone after we're finished. So I got lots of time. I'm gonna, if I have people's permission, I'll drop some things in the chat that can be some suggestions about like the 5 A's of relationships.
Beautiful. So, okay, so Dr. Vibes good. Our guests, you guys are good?
Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to go into a quick fire round, and I want to make sure, Dr. Vibe, that you still get to, there were some pieces that you wanted to drop there. So I'll just do like 3 minutes with the fire round quickly. And then I'm going to give you guys an option between 2 sets of questions. So Black Love and Liberation fire round. Chemistry or character? This is for both of you. This is like one word answers. Chemistry or character? Which should people trust more?
Character.
Character.
Is closure something we receive or something we create?
We create.
Yeah, create. Yeah.
What's more important, being understood or being understanding?
Being understood.
Yeah. Being understood.
Being understood.
Should relationships feel peaceful or passionate?
Peaceful.
Peaceful.
Peace of mind. Peaceful.
Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. You have an option now between the two of you. You want turn the heat up or you want mic drop? Turn the heat up or mic drop?
Ooh. I like to drop a mic, but I like the heat up too. I like, but I'm gonna go with both for that. Coach,
you guys gonna have to be in cohesion. What do you guys choose?
Oh, both of us? Okay,
yeah, it has to be one decision between the two.
Oh, okay. What is it again?
Turn the heat up or mic drop?
Turn the heat up.
Okay, I'll go with that because I'm like, I'm both. Okay.
Let's go.
Are people choosing partners from love or from loneliness in your view, in your experience?
You go first, Doc. You go first. Or is it
I feel like
one of us? Or how is that? Is it?
Yeah.
No, both of you gotta go.
Oh, okay. So you go ahead, Doc. You go first.
Dr. Violet? You me?
No, me. Yeah.
That's what I said. I feel loneliness. I say majority of them loneliness.
Yeah.
Not everybody. Not everybody.
Can I have permission to jump in really quick on this? Again, this is for another conversation, but I know a lot of people have told me that they rather have peace than being in a relationship.
No, absolutely.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole, but it's true.
So I'm just jumping every once in a while, but I know a number of people say, hey, they can't handle relationship drama. They want to just have peace. They'd rather be by themselves.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kofi.
Okay, that resonates. What scares people more, commitment or emotional exposure?
What scares them most? Commitment or emotional exposure? I would say emotional exposure.
Yeah, I'm gonna say emotional exposure because that's before it leads to I'll go with Coach Ron on that.
Can you truly love someone beyond your level of self-love?
No.
Yeah, I would say you shouldn't. I'll say you shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And lastly, before I throw it to Dr. Vibe, one relationship myth you want to retire immediately.
If what? Say it again.
One relationship myth you want to retire immediately.
Hashtag relationship goals. Oh my gosh. Stop with that, everybody. That hashtag relationship goals. Listen, that is a myth. Stop. All these couples breaking up in front of you. People are idolizing all sorts of couples. And everybody prior to that is hashtag relationship. Oh, they're amazing. There is no hashtag relationship goals. There is none. Let me just be let's just put that myth to rest. There is no hashtag relationship goals. Any relationship that you see that is thriving, yes, and I'm praying that they are, but just know that all relationships take work. And it's good work, but it takes work.
Beautiful. Coach Ron.
Yeah. I say more so of a statement. Many people stay together because of children. In the reference of, we don't want the children to grow up in separate homes, or we don't want them to see a separation. But in reality is, if you stay and you're not in the right space, like each other are healed or having a good environment for them, it damages them even more than you being separated.
So the myth is actually,
so it's actually
that the myth that you want to retire would be the concept of staying together just for the sake of the children.
The children, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, both of you, for indulging in the fire round. I'm gonna throw it back to Dr. Vibe.
All right, some final things here in regards to comments. So we had a comment here. Blackfoot Indian says, clarity over chaos is the revolution.
Absolutely.
NASA Community says, great conversation, family. And then Paul Osbourne says, Dr. Vibe dropping the science into me. So good stuff. Before I close it out, both of you want to say first, thank you very much for taking the time to share with us. Kisha, how can people get in contact with you?
Please, if you actually are looking to speak to me, or you are seeking individual counseling, couple counseling, or family therapy that I have been averse to for over 14 years plus, please email me at Kisha@trilliumcounseling.ca. And actually, that's supposed to be, I think I did, .ca, or Acts of Kisha. And if you can't get a hold of me or anything, please contact Dr. Vibe or Kofi so that they can get a hold of me, and I can be sure to reach out to you. Okay, I'm also on IG, acts.of.kisha. And thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you for listening and having me. I'm so blessed. Thank you guys.
Ron?
You can contact me. My website is elevatewithinyou.com, as well as I'm on IG as Elevate Within You, and on TikTok, I'm Coach Ron on TikTok as well. If you want to work with me individually, I like to really, the reason why I say elevate within you is because everything has to start within you before you can actually elevate whatever relationship, whatever your identity, and most so your identity is, like I like to help people with, because they don't know who they are. And if they know who they are, they can thrive in a relationship, and they can thrive in their environment or wherever they want to go. So that's where you can find me on those platforms, as well as my website.
Fantastic. I think we need to have I think we should have a series. I think there is a 100%. Lot of stuff that needs to be addressed that we didn't get even close to this evening. So certainly if we can have a conversation offline, and if both you up to it, I think I suggest we do a series on this, if you up to it and if you have the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm with it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm with it.
All right. So a few last things. So we want to say Kofi Sadat, he's not with us, but he's in the chat. You can get a hold of him. There's his email address, Instagram. I love that. Maroon. I love that Instagram handle. And there's the YouTube, NASA Community, Facebook, Paul.Osbourne31. Kofi Morris, he's available. Email, Get Well Stay Fit. Instagram, Kofi Coach _ and also Cosmic Wellness Group, and also Facebook, Kofi Coach. If you want to get a hold of me, one link, taplink.cc/the_VIBESHOW.com. Also, if you want to email us, please, blackmencantalk@gmail.com. And then finally, if you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, and The Dr. Vibe Show on website. I'm going to end this off with something that I picked up from a book, and this is called the 5 A's of relationships. So, A, attention. Attention to the present moment, observing, listening, and noticing all the feelings at play in our relationships. 2, acceptance. Acceptance of ourselves and others just as we are. 3, appreciation of all our gifts, our limits, our longings, and poignant human predicament. And then also 4, affection shown through holding and touching in respectful ways. And then the last A, allowing life and love to be just as they are, with all their ecstasy and ache, without trying to take control.
That's good.
There's a piece I want to connect this to, and just taking that in, Dr. Vibe, you know, those 5 A's, and then feel free to email us. We can send this info to you. Get what BLKMEN CAN TALK@gmail.com. We will send you that list. I want to put out 2 things to our guests around, in your words, how our relationships fuel our revolution, and thinking of revolution from the perspective of these 2 words, complete change, right? Revolution is complete change. In your own words, you know, how would you kind of sum up this piece that our revolution, our relationships, fuel our change for our community? How would you answer that question?
How our relationships change, or what
do you mean?
How our relationships fuel our change for our community?
Our relationships with ourselves or with our partners, or
our partnered relationships.
And how does it what?
So how it fuels. So as opposed to just using the word revolution, I'm bringing it on a very concrete basis to say change, right? Complete change. You know, our part of our history and our experiences within community have been facing significant changes in order for things to shift from one state to another, you know, for our people, and whether that was the emancipation aspect or whether that was things like Black Wall Street, all these wonderful things that have taken place, both challenging and success related. How do our relationships fuel the next state of change for our community?
Quite simple. It's unity, right? Unity has always been our strongest weapon, right? It just is a disgrace in terms of society getting into the young minds that people think that we should continue to divide. But I'm here to remind everybody, unity is our strongest weapon. In our relationship we form with our brothers, our sisters, I always tell people, when you see your Black brother walking down the street, you don't have to know him. You give a heads up, a nod, a salute, anything. And that's what I always do. And when I see my Black sisters, a nice smile, what's up, how are you? I have to let them know I'm always on your side. I'm always going to hail you up. I see you. I recognize you. I validate your existence. You have to start with that. That will fuel relationships and now propel us to the future and propel us as a unity and community in coming together. We have to first acknowledge one another, accept one another, love on one another. That will gel us, create unity, and then we could propel to the future and go far and beyond. And I truly believe that.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that, Coach Ron.
Yeah. So I would say it's a vital thing, right? It's very, very important for us to have that togetherness, that unity, right? Because if we look at the statistics, even for relationships, we're pretty much, our culture is pretty much at the bottom of the list, right? When we look at other, other ethnicities and race, they're pretty much a unit in building something. We are always separating each other, right? So if we're not working together, then we are always going to be at the bottom, and we're always going to be going down, and it's going to keep going down if we don't change now. And that's the part that we're missing. If we don't change now, we're going to end up continuously in the same or worse predicament that we're in right now. I don't want to take up too much time, but if we look at the wealth race in the sense of it, the other races are much more on a different, the percentages, the gap is so far. And we are the biggest race and community and culture of consumers. We are actually making them more wealthy, but we are not supporting each other when we have small businesses. We're actually, supporting them more, so they're getting more wealthy on us, while we can support each other and actually grow even more. Like Kofi said, the Black Wall Street. We don't have that anymore, per se. We're all trying to be independently growing. So we need the unity. We need to come together to have a change, to have a revolution in itself of it. And that's where it needs to start right now.
Beautiful.
I think that's a good last thing. And Ron, I 100%, I've done some research on this. If you look at different cultures, they have higher percentages of marriage and their economic status. So the more that there is marriages, the higher percent of marriages. In other cultures, the higher disposable average income.
Yeah.
And if we keep on going where we're going, right? And we had a Kwatuan last week talking about, if we're going to move ahead, it has to be economics. So part of that economics is being together.
Absolutely. 100%.
So
I have a last quick one to add there, Dr. Vibe, which is, for someone longing for deeper connection, what is one shift they could begin making today? For someone longing for a deeper connection in their relationship, what's one shift they could begin making today?
I would say look at themselves. It starts with self. If you're not looking at yourself and really who you are, where you're going, and the state of what's around you, you're not going to make an impact. You're not going to have connections. You're not going to make a significant growth. We hear the term all the time, self-made millionaire in the wealth space, but no one makes wealth on their own. They come together. I've seen this so many times in my past and in looking at these other cultures. If they have one person has 5 cents, the other one has 5 cents, they come together and make 10 cents, and they go and do something with that. We want 100%. We don't want to join partnership. We don't want to do anything of that nature. But we got to look at ourselves and what we can contribute. Being a part of something is better than having 100% of nothing.
Boom.
We got to look at ourselves. We got to look at ourselves.
Thank you, my brother. Kisha.
I think for the economics I'm going to tell and challenge everybody. This is a great way when you're talking about how to bring up our economic status. And not only with yourself, but I'm going to say this. Everybody listening to the sound of my voice, I want you to find a African Canadian business establishment and say to yourself, I'm going to pour into them. My husband, Valentine's Day was yesterday. He made a specific and conscious choice, being self-aware. Let me find a Black business that I can pour into, and we can have dinner at their restaurant. You want to build the economic standards of our community. You want to support each other. Don't just say it. Be mindful, be aware, and do it. Right? Find places where they're actually, this is what we do all the time. Look for the places that have that, because I guarantee it's in the city. Toronto's growing, right? You just got to find it. Yeah, maybe, the closer one may be 10 minutes to you, but to support the Black one, maybe 30 minutes for you. I always take the 30-minute drive because I'm putting money into my Black people. Personal trainer. When I was getting married, I was like, I need a Black personal trainer. I have 1,000 that I know at the gym that I go to, not doing them. I got to find a Black person. I made it conscious. She was very far from me, but I made a decision to pour it back into the community so that when I put money in her pocket, she then goes and feeds her child at home, and that pays for her bills in her household, right? We pour it back into the community, circulate it. Because when I put money to another Black person's pocket, then it's helping feed their family and their table, right? It's a cycle. Think about that. Be conscious, be aware. And that's how you're going to help increase the economic status in our community.
Yeah. Can I say two things to that?
Powerful. Go ahead. Hop in there, brother.
So she said something there that she said in the beginning: decisions. We're making the proper decisions, the right decisions, right? And being intentional on top of that decision is continue to support one another, right? The second part I want to say is, if we take a page out of the Jews and look at their culture, because I'm in America, and so we look at their culture and how they cultivate and pour into each other. Their community, before the dollar leaves their community, it circulates about 7 times in that community, and it only leaves the community if it has no way of actually providing that service in their community. They have to go outside of that community. What are we doing? What are we doing?
100%, family. We're gonna, echo some of the things that were shared tonight. When we're liberated, what does our liberation mean to us? What does it look like? We get to determine our destiny. Sense of freedom and entitlement, understanding the importance of accountability for our actions, no longer just surviving, but healing together spiritually, generationally. Empathy, compassion, and grace. Unity. How are we taking time to nurture each other as flowers? How are we pouring into each other for our growth, our development, for our love, for our healing, and our ability to become more self-aware? Family, we're looking forward to part 2 of this conversation series that has started, and the journey continues. We're thankful once again. The Dr. Vibe Show continuing to host these epic conversations as we continue. You can definitely check out Dr. Vibe's channel to get more, again, replays of past shows. And I'll throw it back to Dr. Vibe. We have a blessed night, family. Once again, enjoy the rest of the family day weekend.
So what we do is we end off like this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. As always, make it better. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.